Good afternoon, everyone. Glenn Esmond here. Thanks heaps for tuning in. Today we are doing another Butterfly Effect playthrough. Today is Saved. Saved was a non-album track. Came out on the Crave B-side, and you can also find it on Spotify on a little B-side album that we put out a couple of years ago. Cracking little tune. It was a good little set filler, sort of back in the day, kind of in this sort of vibe of 1 second, I guess. We played it heaps at the start, but once we've done Begins Here, we kind of played it a bit less. I want to go over a couple of different things, primarily from the bass perspective today. Let's jump right in. The bass is tuned C, G, C, F, B flat, primarily in C minor, although there are a few little extra notes in the guitar and the vocal which sort of take your ear away for a second, but they're not really major parts, so not really worth touching on per se. The verse is a very simple sort of 3 to open part, but what gives it a bit of power and gives it drive there is I follow along pretty strongly with what the drums are doing there, and so we get this right, and so that is what the drums are doing, and I'm following along there. And those two, the fretted C there at the 5th fret of the G string and the open C there, just create this sort of really powerful sound. It fills out the bottom end and the mid range a lot. Part of what makes it sound good is that I'm not just flailing around and letting them ring. What I'm doing is I'm actually doing a lot of muting. And primarily in this song, there's a lot of left-hand muting. Now, it's something that people, when they're starting out, aren't really that aware of, but it's one of the most important parts of your technique as a starting out bass player. You really need to be able to work on both your right hand and your left hand muting. But in a scenario like this, where you're trying to do a big chunky riff with the drums or hook in really strongly with the drums, you really need to, like, it's your left hand. And you'll see what I do in there. I'm hitting this. I'm actually flapping it looks like I'm flapping my left hand around a little bit. So I'm doing this. See there, I'm doing ba, da, and I'm getting like a dead note there. And actually, with that open string, that's when the right hand muting comes in. So when I'm fretting, I'm doing a lot of left hand muting, and then with that open string, I'm actually relying on choking the note with my middle finger there. So. And that becomes really important in a couple of sections. The middle section especially has one little bit that if you don't get the muting right, it doesn't sound anywhere near as cool. That is, of course, that little chunky bit that comes in, which is so that's with that. Every time I'm hitting 2 notes together, then I'm muting with my left hand to stop that sound, so it gets that because if I didn't mute it, I mean, it sound kind of cool, it sound big or whatever, fat, but it doesn't have the whole effect of that section is that it gets into a really sort of tight vibe. So, and that wouldn't have that if you didn't mute. The only other thing I would mention is that I play some bass chords in that middle section, which I will be doing a lot more about as we go through, especially the Begins Here stuff, and I like to do chords a lot. Kurt's a very unique guitar player. He plays in a certain way that means that I have a lot of scope to be able to try and fill a lot of sonic space, and if he's doing kind of something that's super high on the guitar or super low, sometimes it's best for me to go into like a higher chord so that I can kind of be in the opposite register to him, so we're trying to fill out that whole sonic texture. So, but this is one of the first times I think, well, I mean, this is the first of the songs that I've actually recorded the bass line for, although I honestly don't remember. I was going back through the track and going, did I do this or did Mick do it? But I'm pretty sure I had to listen back to the demo, and I think the demo is Mick playing, and I played on the actual single version. Would have been done in the Begins Here sessions, I imagine. The middle section I do, which is like a G5 chord, E flat major 7, and then to C5, and then I bring in the second round. I bring in this little a G, A bent up to the B flat, which outlines this kind of G minor chord, which is being played. I think it's important that as a musician we learn scales and we learn scale degrees. I think being in a situation that I found myself in a lot of the times, having to work off somebody presenting a piece of music, and I'm the only other melodic instrument, fretted instrument in the band, and so when the guitar's presenting a part to me, if I didn't have theory knowledge, I would always be kind of at a bit of a loss as to what to do. I think all I could do in that scenario is just play the root notes a lot of the time, or roots and fives, and sort of keep it pretty simple. But if you know what scale things are from, you can explore things like that, and it makes your playing a lot more interesting. So and a lot of knowing that is knowing basic diatonic major scale harmony. So we obviously talk about that a little bit here when we're going through parts of songs, but yeah, it's worth knowing. So hit me up if you'd like to know anything more about this stuff. I'm happy to start making kind of more general theory videos. So yeah, that's saved. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're getting into exciting territory now. We start from next week looking at the Begins Here tracks. Now the Begins Here tracks are great because I actually have the multi-track masters for those, so we can have a look through a lot of things. And there's going to be some things that I haven't even looked at since they were recorded. I'm not quite sure how to tackle it, but I think I might do the intros together, do the Filling Silence intro and the album intro / outro in 1 week, so that I'm not, just doing a 1.5 minute instrumental piece playthrough for a whole week. Just let me know. Give me a comment and let me know whether I should even bother about doing the intros, or whether I should just go straight into Perception Twin. So thanks everyone. I'll chat to you next week. See ya.